Hello, everyone. I think you can hear me,
Hello.
right, Nadia?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thanks,
Perfect.
Joan. Hola.
Hola, hola. We are live streaming in different platforms in LinkedIn, YouTube, the Digital Nomad Association Facebook group, and also Twitch. And this is the first podcast of the series, The Butterfly Effect. I just decided to do a podcast. I'm happy. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Also, a little bit nervous, I have to admit. So if I get red, just don't look at me. It's the first one. So yeah, we are here with who is the president of Nomad Association Colombia. And yeah, I would like you, Nadia, to introduce yourself a little bit so the audience can know a little bit about you.
So hello everyone. Hola, buenos días, Colombia. Hi everybody. I'm super happy because we are with Joan in the same country. So we are like in Joan's country. So we are in Spain right now, and we are in a heat wave. So also we are nervous, but also we are like very, very hot in here. I don't know how many degrees is over there, Joan, because you are in the south of Spain. So I guess it is hotter.
We have 34. At least that's what it says, but I think it's fair more.
Yeah, I would say that would be more. Yeah. So here it is. I am in Madrid, so it is around 38 degrees, and so which is like a lot. Yeah, so happy to be here with your audience and also with the audience of the Digital Nomads Association Colombia, all the digital nomads in Colombia. So my name is Nadia. Some of you know me. I am the co-founder and the president of the Digital Nomads Association Colombia. My profession is I teach. I am a professor. I teach Spanish as a second language. I am a sociologist and a social researcher, and I do so many things. Yes, but all the things that I do, and we are going to talk about a little bit more. It's social research and to analyze social impact in different kind of contexts or scenarios.
Yeah, common ground that we have, and I think maybe the reason why we are here, social impact and digital nomadism as well, because it was part of research for my master thesis. So also let's know my partner and studying strategic entrepreneurship in Sweden. My master thesis to Colombia to do research because I was so interested topic, especially because with your sociologist facet from the has changed a lot, and in the 60s we were half of the people that we are now, right? And people um, than the way we work today. Now the people in this, there are finality. People go to a certain spot in a certain season, or there are in countries populated like economically, I don't know, prosper. So why I studied also about digital nomadism, because I believe from everywhere, maybe these kind of problems or challenges that the society faced could be maybe this phenomenon of digital nomadism. And I, from this point of view, what comments do you have about this?
Yeah, so definitely, I think the main point that you said in here is like how the migration to the cities it increased a lot during the last decades in the world. So in Latin America, in Colombia, of course, and in Europe. So we have like a lot of population during the, I don't know, 80s, 90s, until the beginning of the 21st century. So there were a lot of people that they were looking to find new opportunities in the cities. Yes, because the cities is like a symbol of the capitalism, so where you can get like a higher salary, or where you can get like a better quality life. Yeah, so this is like a, it was the perspective before. Of course now we think differently after the pandemic, but at that moment, so all the world, the majority of the cities in Latin America, they were focused on that. Yeah, so people, they were migrating to the cities. So this is exactly the same to in Colombia. So the cities started to grow a lot, very rapid. And but now with the pandemic, so since the corona started, yeah, so when it started in the 2020, so people and the population migrated to the surrounding areas of the cities. Yeah, so meaning that so many people started to be nomads, because they were, okay, I don't have to be in the city, I don't have to go to the office, I don't have to commute 1 hour in a train or 1 hour in a bus, or I don't have like to bike my bike to go to a specific place to work. I am able to work from home. So then why I have to stay here, so I can be in other place? Yeah, so perhaps around the city I used to live, or in another city that I don't know. Yes, so that's the reason why like this pandemic started to be like the this point where the society changed its structures, its social structures. Yes, because we are not now thinking that much that the that the city is the place where you get money. Yes, because that was like the perspective that you had before. So you go to a city, you go to a city to live, because you can get money and other kind of opportunities. But now the opportunities, they are also online. Of course opportunities are everywhere, but in this case related to digital nomads, opportunities are online, and you can be in any place of the world basically. So
Absolutely, and I think there is a paradox here, because yes, the capitalism system works better when like the economy is together and everything in a single spot, so everything works smoothly and more efficient regarding the economy, but not when it comes to our brain, maybe because our brain is not ready for with hundreds of thousands of people at the same time, and that also has to do with the social media. At least that's how I see, and from the research that I've made in this topic. And there is a paradox here that even though we are close to more people in the cities, we suffer more individualism. It's not like I remember when I was a child, and my dad is from a village close to here, not so far away. And I always say to my dad and to my mom, I want to live here, because people is friendly, people care about you, people ask you how are you, people say hello. But in the city, you don't have this. And me as an entrepreneur, I remember when I was in Sweden, some of my friends went abroad. I felt a bit lonely, and I wanted to do ventures and projects and so on. And I just people, and I'm shy surrounding me. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are living close by me, but find I could not find who was interested in my venture, or I could not find any other interesting venture for me. Fortunately, I found you, for example, through the internet. That's a good way to use the internet, because you can get lost into the information. So you have to purify and filter a little bit everything what you get. Because as I said, our brain is not programmed to so much stimulus. So, is that the reason why you created the Digital Nomad Association, Nadia?
yeah, so actually it is very funny because I have experienced the same, not only now that I'm a full-time digital nomad, also when I used to be like a traveler, yes, like a passionate traveler, because to engage with others, it was like pretty difficult, yes, So I couldn't find like that much opportunities in that time. I used to stay in hostels or maybe those kind of youth hotels where you can hang out with other people, etc. However, right now, so I find the opportunities to gather with people by Facebook or Instagram, or I just introduce myself in a Facebook group where I am and I try to grab a coffee or a beer with other people. Yes. And this is, of course, as I am a digital nomad and the co founders of the Digital Nomads Association, all of us, we are digital nomads. We know how we struggle, like trying to engage with other nomads, but also how to engage with locals. Yes, because we don't know how to, yeah, how to know new people that they are locals, where to go, or if you don't know the language where you are going, for example, in Colombia. So there are so many digital nomads that they don't speak Spanish, and it doesn't matter if they don't speak Spanish. It is part of the process of their experience, like to get an immersion in the language. However, I would say that we need kind of like a help and a push, yes, to try to connect with the locals, and also to support them economically and in other aspects. But also, it is very, very important to engage within each other, yes, within us, yes, to know each other and to support each other, as we both of us, Joanna and you, we met, yes, because we don't know each other in person, but now we can, like work in so many things. So this is like a new reality, not only in person, but there are so many opportunities that they are online where you can meet other people and to network, or just to have friends, and etc.
I think to meet people online is really nice, and it is not about the people that you have close, but the people that is important for you or for your project, so you can connect with them even though they are far away. But I think also the personal presence is important, to touch, to look at the eye, to talk, to hug. What do you think about this?
Yes, definitely. It's like I don't know, personally, I would say that I am a very old-fashioned person. So I'm all the time sitting in this computer. Yeah. So after this meeting, I have another meeting, and I have been in meetings all the day. Yeah. So, but I miss a lot to hang out with other people, also like to have my students, because I'm a teacher, like to teach in a classroom, to take the marker and to write down and to interact after the lesson with my students, to grab a coffee with them, yes, to work with them, and also to interact and grabbing like some questions that we were discussing during the lesson. But I think it is pretty easy to make friends online, but also sometimes is to transfer those friends online in the in-person life. It's also very difficult, because when you are a digital nomad, you are traveling to so many places. Yes, so you need to engage a lot online in order to enhance and to foster this friendship. And then if you are willing to travel to meet your friends in another city or another country, you can be open to that opportunity. Yes.
Mhm.
So, but of course, I all the time miss the regular life. Yeah. So, but it doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just like another type of way of living.
Mhm. Now that you mentioned your teaching facet, I'm interested to know you because of the research I've been doing regarding digital nomad. I know that you are a teacher, you are a sociologist, you are a superwoman, and I will know a little bit more about what do you teach digital nomadism to some extent.
Yeah, well, digital nomadism, I'm a sociologist. Digital nomadism is related to the society and
Mhm.
how the society is changing their, yeah, so their way of living and working, etc. So, in a specific extent, it is related, but I teach mainly three things. So, when I started to be a sociologist, I became a university professor in a very young age. So that's another long story. But when I was like 22 years old, I started to teach sociology. Yeah. So sociological theory, which is mainly philosophy. Yeah. So I started to teach that. And later on in my career, I taught social techniques of research because my emphasis as a sociologist was to be a researcher. Yeah, so that's the reason why I'm a social researcher as well. So I started to teach how to do a research, yes, in terms of the techniques and also the theoretical framework that you need to use and how to analyze information, how to report the information that you are analyzing in a specific paper and how to make an academic article, etc. And then later on in my life, I got a super high interest into urban planning and urban sociology and all the urban processes that we study in social sciences and also in architecture and other urban planning and other type of sciences that they are related into that. So I also teach right now. I'm teaching urban planning, yes, for social scientists, not urban planning for architects or engineers, yes, because I teach the social part of the urban planning. And finally, as a digital nomad, I got a new company. My family here in Spain, because I am in a house that is a family house. So I have family here in Madrid. So this family is a family of linguists. Yeah. So all of us, we are very passionate about linguistics. So I also teach Spanish as a second language to other digital nomads that they want to get get to know other people in Spanish and also like get to know a little bit about the language. So, and I'm working on that as well with other digital nomads that they are part of this community.
Nice. And now that you mentioned the language, I just wanted to say that when we have meetings, we speak in English, but we are both native speakers. But since we want
Yes.
to reach the English digital nomad to do this effort, so uh, so
Yes, it's a big effort, of course.
I can see some comments or in English. So hello guys, everyone that is watching us, and welcome to this podcast. And I want to continue this conversation sticking with the urban you mentioned, the urban planning. This is really interesting. I have an article about that because I think we have infrastructure, at least in developed countries. For example, to exemplify this, in Spain, we are the country of the bars. And full in high season, but not in low season, or are full lunch time, but noon. Uh, I mean, noon is not lunch in Spain, just to clarify. And
Yes.
why don't we use this, right? And that's something that we were a little bit because digital nomadism could be a key to open this door to use the infrastructure. They could fill the Spanish bars in high season, or they could fill some other facilities using the machines as a means hubs to foster a little bit this entrepreneurship and collaboration. That those are topics that I want to stick with in this podcast as well. I want to know, you interested in the urban planning, how do you see this of the digital nomadism using the current infrastructure and as a key to prevent to have these challenges that about seasonality in low season?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question because this is I'm from Colombia. Yes, for those that they don't know, I think I didn't mention that, but I have been in Europe for the past 6 years. I have been living here in different places. So I will answer your question with an example. So I was living in Croatia in a Split, which is yeah, so in front of the sea, and they have like this seasonal context as well. Yes, and I think this is like a typical context of all the Mediterranean cities. Yes, that you can have here in Europe. We don't have, for example, we don't have that in Latin America. In Colombia, well, not in Latin America, in Colombia, yes, because we don't have seasons, so there's not like high or low season. There's high season, but where the kids they are on vacations. Yeah, so maybe December, June, and July, that can be considered as a high season. But here the low season is like a pretty strong low season because literally all the people, oh, not all the two people, the tourists, they just left and they don't go back until the next summer. Yeah, so which is like a very complicated scenario to understand how the society or how the local communities they have like bad impact due to that. Okay, so for example, in a Split, continuing with my experience. So the city center of a Split, for those that they know the city, so it is mainly empty, yeah. So when it's in between November, December, January, February until March or maybe April, so people they start to come, and also other locals they start like to visit the city center, which is like a historical city center. So there's a lot of gentrification over there, and there's a lot of very nice infrastructure for tourism, and this infrastructure is not used for other things. Then after the Croatia, the government promoted the digital nomad visa in a Split. Of course, majority of the digital nomads they are going into Split during the low season because the high season is super expensive. Yes, so it is not worth it to pay like the same price that you are paying in low season for the high season, and also it's very crowded. Yes, so mainly digital nomads. I don't think that we find like very nice to be in a super crowded place full of tourists. So I think that in the case of Croatia, they are using a little bit the infrastructure because now during the low season, there's more bars and more cafes and also co-working spaces that they are used to for digital nomads. Yeah, so I think it is like a really high opportunity to to foster the economy in those isolated areas during the low seasons. In the case of Colombia, I would say that we need to develop a better infrastructure. Yes, so which is like we have like two different type of contexts or issues. Yes, we have infrastructure, but in so many cases, in some isolated countries, we don't have infrastructure for any type of season. So that is like would be the difference between Colombia and Europe, more or less, like a very fast explanation.
Yes. So continue. I want to double check that has got. Can you?
I can hear you properly, but yes, I see the message. Yeah, okay, but
Or
I think your internet now is good. Yeah, so you were
perfect.
cutting off a little bit, but yeah. So
So
thank you
just
very
let me
much
know.
for the person that is like letting us know that because we don't know. Yeah, so from this
Yes, yeah.
streaming platform, we don't know how it goes. But if you, yeah, so you just let us know if we are cutting off
Mhm.
again.
Please do. To follow up in what I think the urban planning is good. I think that still without urban planning, we can still use what we have, right? And that's maybe more efficient ways. And before that, I think there is something even more important, at least in the beginning, that is built between the newcomers and the society there, right? To make them, because otherwise, why do we need an infrastructure then, right? If they don't adapt, we have problems. So maybe the infrastructure can help, but from what lately and research, I maybe the public sector, the private sector, for we've been in Colombia, we've been talking also to a lot of co-workings, co-livings, hotels. I think the private sector is really happen because they are there for those that arrive. The hospitality is the society, right? And they have easy the adaptation. But sometimes it could be also the opposite effect. They could be isolating all the digital nomads away from the real life. So that's why the public sector could, or some facilitator and profit in the digital nomad. Yeah. Because when we were doing the talk, the first interview, and I was asking about this, I was like, check, you were doing everything that we were aiming to write about, right? And that's why we were keeping talking a lot about this topic. So I think we have to be all aware. Like education is the first step for newcomers, digital nomads, the public, private sector, and need of associations like to build this bridge to orchestrate all stakeholders to row towards this direction. So I would like you to develop a bit on. You are an expert on this topic.
Yeah, so I think it's like that's the yeah, that's like very difficult to manage. Yes, like how we can use those infrastructure, or how can we put a digital nomadism generating a positive impact in the country, any type of country. I'm not talking only about Colombia, I'm talking about all the countries that they are like now suffering of a huge migration of digital nomads, suffering in a positive way, of course. And I would say that we need bridges, as you said, and that's the reason why I really like that word, because this is a holistic and multidimensional process. Yeah, so we need the private sector that they are providing all the services for digital nomads, mainly accommodation. Yeah, so accommodation is like the first thing that a digital nomad need. Yes, and with fair prices, etc. But we all the needs that the digital nomad is asking for. And I think also the public sector, as we said in one of our other conversation with Pro Colombia, so the public sector also has like a really important role on that, because they also have the role to promote the digital nomadism and to promote other cities, isolated cities, that they are not the typical cities where a digital nomad go. Yes, for example, in Colombia, all the digital nomads, they are crowded in Medellin. We know why, because this is an excellent city to be. Yeah, so all of us, we love Medellin, but of course, like the government has like this opportunity and this role to promote other cities and to provide the infrastructure and to provide the safety and security to be in those places that they need a little bit of economical growth and social cohesion in a way with other parts of the of or regions of the country. Yes, and also digital nomads, we have a huge role, so we don't, it's not good to self bubble. Yes, like to be on a bubble where you are living in a country. Yes, of course, this is not easy. Yes, because it's difficult to settle down even when it's for a short period of time in a country where you don't know the language, or when you don't, it is the first time that you are living there. So I would say that that's a reason why I like to start to promote like social projects or projects related to digital nomadism and the locals, where we can create and foster those relationships in between locals and digital nomads. They are like the most important things and challenges that we have nowadays in Latin America, especially. Of course, in Europe, we have a lot of this challenge as well. But I think in Latin America, the challenge is bigger. Yes, because we have a lot of digital nomads that they are not that interested in connecting with the locals, yes, with the local community because of so many reasons, yeah. So, and that's why the Digital Nomads Association, for example, in Colombia, aims to connect the locals with the digital nomads in different ways. It can be online or it can be in person, and that's the main challenge all around the world, I would say.
Yes, of course, some digital nomad profiles that are not engaged really with the society and maybe get stuck in more like how to say fast tourism or mass tourism practices. But the way I see it is that digital nomadism is more like engage with the slow tourism to stay longer because they need to have a balance to combine the work and the leisure. They more likely will stay 1 month, 2 months, even more. So they more likely will learn Spanish. In the case of Colombia, they will eat arepas, eat sancocho. So things that you otherwise would do really fast because your plane is taking off, right? Uh, so I think there are a lot of opportunities to fill empty regions, create entrepreneurship, because we are talking about an education that goes to places and interact to people, and that's really important. That's the butterfly effect, right? That's why just as it can change in the long run without even, and that's the way I also created this podcast to have conversations like that today. And I wanted to do questions to all the guests in this podcast because you more or less explained, but I would like to wrap up and summarize this conversation asking you, why do you do what you do, Nadia?
Why what? I'm sorry.
Why do you do what you do?
Oh, what a question. Wow. This is like yeah, so I think since I am a teenager, I started to feel that I had to change the world. Yeah, so it's like I always think that because I grew up in a very violent scenario. Yeah, so I grew up in the 90s. Yeah, so as you know, the 90s in Colombia was a very difficult time for, yes, the history. It was a very difficult time in the history of our country. Yeah, so a lot of violence, a lot of drugs trafficking. Yes, a lot of poverty. We are still suffering, of course, of the consequences of the 80s and 90s in Colombia. However, the country has changed a lot, and I grew up in that context. So I would say that all the time when I was like in the school, I was thinking I need to change somehow this. I need to give a little bit of my work for my society. So I was like an altruist. Yes, when I'm still I am. So, but I had like this very strong attitude when I was a teenager, and I was a leader as well in the school and also in the university. So I think that I'm doing this in because of my people, my society. Yes, because we deserve to have a better world, and it's not like a cliche. It's still like a good objective for, yes, for all the societies in the world to look for better quality life and to look for better opportunities, yes, and economical opportunities to the society. So in Colombia and in Latin America, not everybody have the same possibilities in terms of education, in terms of entrepreneurship, for example. Yeah, so if we can give a little bit to the society and we can help like to push those local communities and those local entrepreneurs that they don't know how to expand their knowledge or they expand their market to digital nomads or to the international tourism. So we are here to help. Yeah, so why not? So we are here all together, so let's work all together in order to get that.
All right. So for me, Nadia, that's the entrepreneurship, and you just gave a perfect definition of it. And I think it's a really nice way to close this conversation. I feel so grateful for having people like you talking here, saying these nice things, because at the end, it's all about people, and we have to make things better. And just with this conversation, you made my day. So thank you very much. Thank you as well to all the audience. Next week, we will have here another guest, which will be announced really soon. And see you soon. Nadia, thank you
So
very much.
thank you. Thank you, Joan, for inviting me to your Butterfly Effect podcast, and see you soon.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Ciao.